For those that take their audio, video, and home automation technology very serious, there are consultants eager and ready to show you the options at a variety of price points. We're going to visit one such consultant here in Dallas, Texas. He specializes in high-end systems that are designed specifically for the space they are to be used. He focuses on knowing the products that perform best and combining them into systems that give the highest performance possible. So come join me as he will share his knowledge of his industry as well as his journey as an American entrepreneur. Hello Don, how are you?
I'm great. How you doing, Curtis?
Pretty good. Thank you for having me over.
My pleasure.
All right, so introduce yourself and tell us about your business, Don.
My name is Don Krystal, and I'm the president of Krystal Audio Video, Inc. We've been around for 40 years, and we still have clients, believe it or not, from the very beginning, which is a source of pride for me because it means that we are hitting the right note with our clients. We are geared toward a high net worth individual, providing the very finest, high performance, high end music, cinema systems, and also smart home systems. In other words, we integrate all those. We've been doing that from the very beginning of our business with humble beginnings when I worked out of a little condo on the east part of Dallas. So we've done a lot of growing in our time. We pioneered some models. We were in Oak Lawn for a while, and we were on the 4th floor of a high-rise, and we were by appointment only, and we were kind of like a design studio. And we noticed, we also hit another resonant note because we noticed a lot of other of our so-called competitors were copying that. So we did that for a while, and then we went to Highline Drive, which is the design center. We were there for 10 years. Then we took a look at what was going on and we said, you know what? The landscape of the world has changed and we need to change with it. And we think the model is broken. So we wanted to try an experiment. And that experiment has lasted up to this day, and it was more successful than our wildest dreams.
Was that when you introduced the van? And
yes, we decided to use a model of we bring the showroom to your room. Because what had happened was a lot of our clients would go to our design center location. We had millions of dollars worth of inventory. We had 5 different demo rooms. And they'd come there and they say, oh, this is really nice, but how's it sound in my room with my equipment? Which is an important aspect in high performance music systems. If you notice, I don't use the word stereo because stereo, there's 3 different levels of systems. A stereo is a separate sound coming out of a left box and a right box. The next level is a hi-fi, which is a better sound coming out of a left box and a right box, so it's 2-channel. But a music system is where you get the musical intent of the singer or musician of your favorite kind of music being transmitted directly to you. So it's a completely different level. But getting back to we bring the showroom to your room, we started doing it, and everything was delivered in a Mercedes van, which was kind of novel at that time. And it was kind of akin to kind of a white glove evaluation, if you will. And it turned out much more successful than our wildest dreams, as I mentioned, and we had nothing but overwhelmingly favorable response. So we said, I guess we'll continue with this. And quite frankly, it was an experiment. We didn't know if it was going to work or not, but we're doing it to this day, and we've even expanded it a little bit more than that.
You also go into people's homes and design the space, the acoustics for the sound. Is that correct?
Yes. So the dimensions are important. How reflective or live the room is, how dead it is, and it's a balancing act. And it's contingent upon the equipment that's being used, the size of the drivers and the loudspeakers and that kind of thing. So that came from my background of being a loudspeaker designer and manufacturer, which actually got me into this whole business. So
that was another question I was going to ask, is how did you get into this business?
Okay, first of all, what in the very beginning, incipient stages of it for me was I play guitar. I wanted to hear all my parts, but I couldn't hear it in some of the equipment that I owned. And I said, I got to get better equipment so I can hear everything and I can play better or learn it better. Well, that led to this pursuit for perfect sound and led me into the world of high-end audio. I decided, well, you know what? I can do this for other people. And another thing happened, which was kind of interesting, is I would go over to clients' homes before this business, and they'd have these nice systems. And I said, can I try this, this, and this? And when I was done with it, it sounded a whole bunch better. And a lot of them would say, you know what? You're really good at this. You should make this into a business. And I laughed at them. I said, there's no way I can do this. But somehow that stuck in my brain after I became the loudspeaker designer. And anyway, long story short, here I am today, and this is what I do.
And this is your home as well as your showroom by appointment only, am I correct?
Well, what we've done is I've moved to that model because we're doing...
You still use the van, I know.
We bring the showroom to your room, but usually that's for fairly high-end systems. And so there's a lot of people we discovered who are from out of town or whatever, and they have no way of really even experiencing any of this. So I said to myself, well, let's not just say that we just don't appeal to them or we can't serve them. Let's give them a venue too, because a lot of them have never even heard this equipment. And so, and why should they be disadvantaged because they're out of town? So we said, let's do it here, and let's do it in a home environment because it's more like what they're used to, it's comfortable, and they get a sense of what a system can be in a real world situation and not an artificial situation like in a showroom.
So how far of a service area do you have?
We actually serve primarily Dallas, Fort Worth, and all the surrounding areas, and Texas. We have clients all over the country, in Mexico, as well as all over the world. But primarily it's, it's this area, it's Texas, or I should say Dallas-Fort Worth area, Texas, and the U.S. with some in Mexico.
What's the average demographic of your customers, your clients?
You mean what they do for a living?
No, just pretty much, I guess, what's their age group? I guess they're probably, if they're going to be buying this type of high-end stuff, they're probably high net worth people.
Yes,
probably between their 30s and 60s.
Yes, primarily between 30s and 70s. But there's always people outside of it. But primarily I'd say 30s to 70s.
How do you market this business?
What we do is, some of it is social media, which is, we have a Facebook page. We also have an Instagram account. So primarily through those venues for social media, we also do some ads on Google. We have a really nice web page. And the best part of it is I have a lot of referrals and repeat business because as you can imagine, over 39 years, 40 years we've been in business, we've accumulated quite a few clients. So they like what we do, they recommend their friends or family, and that's sort of how it goes.
What is the average, or what's the starting point of a system that you install? I guess you don't do something that's $5,000. Or where's it started?
We've done that. We've done 5, but in terms of a installation or just a music system or just a theater system.
Just overall, I guess.
Overall, I'd say the average is, average or starting place.
So let's say the average.
Okay, the average is probably, I'd say 30 to 200.
So pretty big wide gap. And I
Yeah,
guess
wide gap.
I guess that depends too.
And
on some-
there's people below that and there's people above that.
And somebody or some people probably just get the whole everything, the cinema, the music, and the smart home stuff. Do you do work for builders?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. The interesting thing about being a custom integrator, we're unusual, and this is part of our niche, is most custom integrators, their business model is based upon putting in average, run-of-the-mill stuff you can buy anywhere, and then making it all work. Okay. Ours is integrating very high-end, esoteric sometimes components and making them all work together, which not a lot of integrators do. So we're kind of a custom retailer integrator, if you will, because we everything we carry, we are direct with our vendors. We also install it, and then we do after service type installations as well. So whatever we do, it's completely oriented for the client, what he needs or he or she needs.
How many employees or how many crews do you have?
We're a small company. We have 4 people, and those 4 people are very well utilized. It's one of my philosophies is to be lean and mean and to leverage our talents or our assets, and I consider my employees my biggest asset to the very best we can. And that's what keeps us, I think, very responsive, very quickly responsive to clients when in the remote chance that they have problems. And everybody has problems from time to time. And even if they're older systems and they need some work done, then we can do service calls in a very short period of time.
So as long as you've been in business, surely you've got numerous awards, I would think.
Yes.
Tell us about just a couple of the big high points.
Okay, well, we were in the very beginning stages of our business. We were featured in Dallas Morning News. We've also been featured in the Dallas Business Journal. We won customer service awards from major consumer electronic magazines. We were featured in an old defunct magazine. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, Rob Report.
Yes, I remember them.
So we were featured in the Rob Report for one of our installations. And just recently, we were honored with 2 awards. One was Best Audio Video Custom Installation Company in Texas, and the other one was Best Home Entertainment Services Company in Texas as well. So I thought that was kind of nice.
I think probably the biggest success or whatever, the highlight of it all is being on this YouTube channel, American Entrepreneur. Just kidding. No,
Maybe
just kidding.
so. Maybe so.
What made you actually go off on your own and start this business? Were you kind of fearful of it, or did you have a backup plan? Did you just quit your job and start this? Tell us a little bit about how that evolved.
Okay.
I know you said you were making speakers, I believe.
Yes, I was, and designing them and stuff. But really and truly, I've learned through the years that I'm the kind of person that's very self-directed. I'm not the kind of person that you have to babysit and say, okay, get this done, and I want to make sure you do it and make sure you do it right. I like to be given lots of creative room to move so that when I step on my own accelerator, I can go as fast or wherever I want to go. And I can steer the boat. And because of that, I said, I'm probably more well suited not to work for someone, but to work for myself. And I have very high standards, so probably higher than a lot of the people I've ever worked for. So because of that, I can apply those standards to the benefit of my clients.
That seems like that would have been hard to go from having that guaranteed check to all of a sudden it's going out seeing clients, doing sales and installs.
Well, I learned very early on that the whole concept of job security was a myth.
People are
Let
figuring
me
that out now more
explain.
than ever.
Let me explain what that means to me. Is that these people who thought, oh, I'm going to work for this company, and they said, how could you do that? You don't even know where your next check is coming from. And I said, well, what happens if you lose your job? Where's the security now? So I realized that actually you make your own security. No
You're the
one makes it for
architect of
you.
your own life.
Yeah, you're the architect of your own life. Yeah.
What are some of the nuances of this business that a lot of people wouldn't realize unless they were in this business? Of course, I know you specialize in the higher end stuff, but what are some nuances that maybe if somebody wanted to start a business like this that would catch them off guard?
Well, I think personally it would be hard to start the business the way I'm doing it right now. I think you have to have a bunch of experience under your belt to do it, or have some kind of clientele that you've developed. But in terms of starting the business, the way I look at it, if I could become successful, anybody could become successful. What I mean to say is that I had my own standards in terms of starting the business, which was, I said, my goal was initially was if I can do this business, then I want to do it ethically. And I know that I could become successful doing this business ethically. And I wanted to prove that more to myself than anybody else. But I'd say the number one aspect of doing well in this business, and probably any business is about relationships. All business is like that. So the more you understand relationships,
The reputation.
subtleties of relationships, understand that the best relationships are built on trust, then you have a really good starting point to do well in any business, not just our business. As opposed to what I call the slam and bam approach, which is I'm going to get it while I can, sell as many widgets as I possibly can, and I'll see you later and move on to my next thing. Now, I'm a very long-term person, and I believe that you can learn something new every day. In fact, I live for that. I tell people a day without learning something new is a day without sunshine. So understanding that, I was willing to be committed for a very long time. I looked at this as a long-term type of a business and be committed for a very long time to continue it. And I am somewhat of a workaholic, so I have put an enormous amount of time and effort into the business. And that with any business, it's going to take that, particularly from the beginning. But there's a twist to it for me, and that is the working is more like enjoyment for me. I enjoy working. There's some people that cannot stand to work. If I had to work for someone else, I would not enjoy it.
Have you ever installed a system whereby maybe a few weeks later they really weren't totally happy, and I guess did you have to go back and tweak it, or tell us about some of that?
Well, we've installed systems where some things didn't work the way they were designed to work, and we would take care of those kind of issues completely. But if it's something that they didn't like, whenever I do to that end, addressing that, if we ever, for instance, when we put together a proposal for a client, we're putting something together to the best of our ability, but in this industry, it has to do with synergy or component matching. So we're going to find those points that work within whatever they want to invest in the system or systems or components. And we will find the best of class of those and have that all work together as one system. A music system, a cinema system, a smart home system is an integration of many smaller systems. So if we put that together and it's something to do with one of the components not being up to snuff, we'll change that out, of course. But we've also had clients that said, we made recommendations. We said, for your room, this is what you wanted, this is what you should do. And they went with something different, and they ended up not liking what they liked, and they would have been much better off doing the system we recommended. Yes, that's happened. It's only happened, I think, once. I think it's happened. Well, which is not bad for a length of our
very
time.
impressive. Have you, or shall I say, when someone calls you, surely you have people just kicking the tires.
Yes.
How do you vet people? Because you are high end. You don't have time to do your mobile showroom or have them coming in appointment only. How do you vet the tire kickers from the people that are really serious?
Well, I think, there's multiple questions you can ask, but I kind of find a time frame. Because most people in our business, it takes anywhere from, 3 months to several years before they go from I'm interested to a full-fledged system. And in the beginning, and rightfully so, they want information. They want to find out, well, I've read about this, what do you think of this? And, they're kind of in the initial stages of learning about what they should get. And I will be generous with time on that. But in terms of somebody just calling me up just to kind of use us for information without anything in return, I'm not a social service agency. I am, after all, a business. And what makes it such a great business and allows us to provide the level of service, which, by the way, is one of our signature dishes, our level of service, we have to be an ongoing, profitable concern.
Of course. That's why you've been around for 39 years.
However, the business, if we're doing what we say we're going to do, and we deliver the way we say we're going to do, then the business part takes care of itself. I'm not interested in people that just, I want one thing and I'll see you later. I want a long-term relationship.
Well, as far as your systems, what's the biggest area? Is it the cinema systems, home security systems? Is it the music?
We don't do security. We recommend that. That's farmed out to other people.
So
because
you have to
have a special license in the state of Texas for security systems. And even though we can do them and we can pre-wire for them, we really stay away from that. Primarily,
it's not your niche also.
It's not what we do. So we can't be all things to all people, but we do what most people want. And that's satisfies the vast majority of our clients.
Well, I know you're here in Dallas-Fort Worth only. Have you ever considered or wanted to maybe open up locations in a few other really large cities, or what's your view on that?
Well, that's a good question. We've been offered, people, they wanted to buy our business, syndicate it, whatever. And the problem I have with that is I'm kind of a one-on-one kind of guy. And I also know that the larger the company grows, the less control you have on the quality, and particularly the quality of services. So in order to keep that level, I made a conscious decision to say, I'm not going to expand it. I know that's counterintuitive to anybody that has a business, because they say, okay, you start a business and you grow it and then you sell it later on.
This is a different kind of business as well.
It's a different kind of business. And actually recently in the last, I'd say, 8 or 9 years, we've evolved into a consultancy. People know we have a specific skill set that we offer them. For instance, acoustic services and consulting. We also do something called Imaging Science Foundation calibrations. I'm one of the founding members. I've probably done around 5,000 flat panel sets, projectors, that kind of thing. And they know that every system that gets put in is tweaked. So we make sure that every system is operating to its fullest capacity. And we do certain tweaks. I think I showed you a few on our wall. What those tweaks do is they just further, wring more performance out of the system. So we're not the guys that just, here it is, install it, we'll see you later. We're the guys that make sure everything is set up perfectly. And in our business, at this level and the level of performance of these components, especially loudspeakers, even a quarter of an inch of difference in how you angle it, where you place it in a room, can be the difference between it sounding quite good to exceptional.
Well, I've got to ask you this little bit of a crazy question.
Okay.
Turntables.
Yes.
I've got about a $500 turntable.
Okay.
But I see you got these that are like $4,500 and $5,000. Oh, I saw on your website one that was $4,500. How high do they go?
$250,000.
Okay. What makes those so much better?
A part of it could be cosmetic, but a lot of it has to do with material science, what they're made out of. Carbon fiber, inert type of materials for the base or the plinth, for the platter itself, for the arm itself. The arm, the way it's constructed, the way the arm is constructed, the inertness of the arm, the stiffness to mass ratio, and then of course the bearings in the arm. The wiring in the arm also makes a difference. How heavy the turntable is. In other words, how resistant to movement or inertia it possesses. All of those will allow you to hear more details from your precious recordings. Now, that's another one of our skill sets, is I'm known as a turntable setup guy, as well as a system setup guy. So when you said I work just in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I work all over the country.
So when people
Clients fly me to set up turntables, set up systems, because they know at the end of the day, like I said when I first started this business, I know what things should sound like, and I can make their system shine. Because a lot of these people they've read about it, but they've never had personal experience. They'll be sitting and they'll say, well, is my system set up to perfection? Is it the very best it possibly can be? They don't know. So they need a frame of reference, which is what I give them.
These people that spend this kind of money on a turntable, and I'm just going to ask this, I think it's
Yes.
kind of a funny question to ask. Are they buying the old original vinyl, or are they buying the reproduction vinyls?
All of it.
All of
Everything. What everything gets.
I like the old original pressings. I love the 70 pressings, not the new ones. Maybe it's just a nostalgic thing.
Well,
but I
it's
don't like the reproduction.
Yeah, it's sort of like tube electronics where you have new old stock. Well, there's a thriving business in older records, originals, as well as remastered with 180 or 200 gram vinyl, and also using super perfectionist techniques in terms of cutting the lacquer. And that's actually become, a bunch of new studios have come online. They're actually cutting vinyl because it's become so popular. I myself, I own about 6,000 LPs, and my significant other says, and I own a lot of duplicates, so she says, get rid of them, it's taking up too much space. So I'm kind of actively moving to pare down my collection. But I'm small fry compared to some of my clients. I have clients that have 10,000, one that has 14,000. The largest collection of a client that I have is 85,000 records. It's got a separate storage facility. It's climate controlled. And you kind of have to do that when you're at that level.
Well, in recent times with the resurgence of vinyl, I guess you're seeing this turntable business really explode a bit.
It's been, the resurgence of vinyl has happened since, it's been happening for the last 15 years. It's not a new phenomenon. But it's very popular among younger clients, millennials particularly, and some Gen Z clients, because it's more about something they can touch and feel as opposed to something in a cloud. Yeah. And they're having parties where they're all together and they're reading the back of the vinyl and they're listening to it. Like we did when we were in the 70s, and 80s, we used to do that, have parties like that. But now we can recreate it again. And vinyl, for a lot of people, they think it has a certain sound. It does not sound like digital. Digital has a different type of clarity than vinyl. And vinyl, for some people, has a warmer sound, and they enjoy that. And it reminds them, especially for some of my clients that are, that are in the 60s to 70s, it reminds them of their youth.
So where do you see this business going in the near future? Not necessarily this business, but really the industry as a whole.
I think there's always going to be a desire for best as opposed to something that's just available to everyone. Like anyone can turn on their phone and play music, from Apple or Pandora or whatever, and enjoy it. But there's always going to be people that want to hear it at its highest level. And I think what's happening is we've gotten streaming down to a level where it's closely approximating a CD. Instead of having to pop a CD into a CD player, you can stream and it can sound quite good. But it's hard to replicate vinyl.
Well, do you have people that are really still into their CDs?
What's that?
Do you have clients that are still really into their CDs?
Absolutely.
And you have your high-end
What we're also experiencing a resurgence of are CD players and CD reproduction.
Because I've got a huge CD collection.
They want something they can hold on to. And also when they listen to the difference in streaming, CD still has an edge. An SACD, which is called Super Audio CD, has an edge. Now, it's more profound in higher resolution systems or systems that will reproduce more of what's on that CD or LP for that matter, and even in the streaming world. But the streaming world's getting better and better, I will say that. And there's higher resolution than CD versions in the streaming world. Another interesting trend has been clients are getting back to tubes.
Yeah,
but more importantly, they've always been into tubes, but tubes and horn speakers, that combination. Really? Oh, yeah. And you see some of the new horn speakers, and they're like works of art. Now, and I think that's even more so. The trend has been now, components used to be, in the very beginning, we're just concerned about the performance, we don't care about the looks. Now it's become about the looks as much as the performance, so it's luxury. An architectural piece, we call it luxury hi-fi, audio, video. And that's been a big trend that's happened. So in the future, people are wanting a system that integrates with their lifestyle. And if they have interior designers, or of course the wife or the girlfriend, they want it to be something that doesn't dominate the room. So a lot of times the equipment now even the racks, it looks iconic, it looks like a piece of art, and that's what's driving, that's what is the trend nowadays. Now, maybe there'll be a new technology that's invented in the next, 5 years, maybe so, but I think it's going to be continuing refining what we have. Here currently, you've got the Dynaudio. These are the 50s, and the Dynaudio 50s are in the range of about 32,000 for the pair. The Ridos, those are second from the top of the line, and they're called the TD 4.8s. They have unbelievable technology, sandwich technology. Their drivers are put in chambers that bombard minute amounts of diamond and tantalum on them to make them very stiff, very light. And you want stiffness because you want perfect pistonic motion. But those go for about 170,000 for the pair. And that finish,
They sound great. It's just
thank
really
you.
amazing.
Yeah.
Well, what other pieces of advice could you give to someone that would really love to do something like this for a living?
Okay. Well, first of all, this is a very passion-driven industry. I've told it to people that have come to my place wanting to buy my business who are investors, and they laughed in my face. Tell me how much money you're making. Tell me this and that. Yes, it can be nice, but if you don't have the passion, you won't do well in it. And clients will sniff that out in a second, and they'll just think you're just another
Big box store trying to sell
big
you
box
something.
store, just pushing equipment, and I could just buy it online. But the reason why I say it's also relationship oriented, in that you have to know who your niche is. And I would, whoever it is, whatever level of this business you want to get into, know who your customer is. Know them very well. So well that whatever you do, you are serving them exactly to fulfill their needs, not for your own. I always look at it as, I say to clients, when the greatest compliment you can pay us is when you say, the system, what it does for us is it makes it, we use it every day, and I got my money's worth and then some. That's the greatest compliment you can pay us.
And I would think also too, in this business, you're not competing with the big box stores, because the kind of clientele you work with, they want this level of consultancy and this level of
And knowledge and expertise and
this,
service.
and
Yeah.
this kind of equipment.
Yes.
So sure, there's a lot of competition out there, but not really in what you're doing or your clientele.
There is. I mean, I don't look at the competition because, some clients, I don't care how good you are, what you do, they're going to gravitate toward a certain brand. They're going to gravitate toward a certain model. They're going to gravitate toward a certain store. And, I say vive la différence. It's okay. Everybody has a right to do business the way they want to do business. I just know that there's a lot of clients, especially our high net worth clients, who are very busy. They don't have time. Some people like to hunt. They want to research it all. They want to find all the information and then call you and find out if you know anything to test you, but also maybe to learn some new things. But also there's clients that, I don't have the time. I want to go to the head of the class. What do you recommend? And here's my room. Come see me. Here's what I like to listen to. Here's the movies I like to watch. Here's what I like our system to do. When I call that, that's a big area of our business, which is smart home integration. I want to control everything with one control or one iPhone or iPad or just a handheld device. I want to be able to put my shades down or up according to what time of the day it is, or what day it is, or what time of the season it is. I want my lights controlled. I want to know what's going on when I leave for Paris and look at the cameras and find out who's been there, what's going on. In other words, they want that kind of integration. But they want to be able to control it. They want to control it themselves. All very big climate control, is huge. And of course, music distribution throughout the house, because a lot of people entertain.
All right, so I guess is there anything else you'd like to add as we wrap this video up here?
Well, I think you've squeezed a lot out of me.
All right, I try to ask as many questions as I can.
But no, I mean, I think you've gotten an idea of what we're about. And, you know, I always welcome working with new clients, of course.
Oh, one last question.
Yeah.
A big question I forgot to ask. How did you come up with the name of your business?
Oh, good question. This really speaks to my desires of being an entrepreneur at an early time in my life. Well, when I moved to Dallas, I lived in a place on the 4th floor that had a really large window in the dining room. And it had an old fixture that had, you know, those crystals. And it had a Western exposure. And at that time of the day, it would, as all crystals are, they're prisms, and it would divide the light into a rainbow lights, right? So I said, well, that's very cool. I said, wouldn't it be interesting if we could sell those type of crystals for other people and they could just hang them in their room? And I got hooked up with a Austrian crystal company, and I decided to sell crystals, but I was also interested in doing some audio video work as well. So I said, I think I should start this company and name it Crystal Clear Audio Video.
Well, cool.
Doesn't that say it all, crystal clear, right? And I later came up with this logo that shows, it's a little Pink Floydish, where there's a crystal and it divides it into different colors. And it does it, sound is the same way. You know, you divide sound reproduction equipment is actually dividing sound into different frequencies and sorting it that way. So I thought, you could kind of kill two birds with one stone. And my tagline at the time was clarity and light and sound.
Great. Well, Don, I really appreciate you taking time out of your day coming on this channel and sharing your story.
My complete pleasure. It's been a real...
I think the biggest takeaway Don shared with us is how business is about relationship building. If you operate your business as just a take the money and run, you will more than likely not get referrals and repeat business. As Don said, he's still doing business with some of the same people for the past 40 years. I hope this video added value to your journey in becoming a great American entrepreneur. I'm Curtis Mulberg. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.